People come and seek us out, and they really want to come and thank you for a meal they've had. We've had old Italian guys come over, glazed with a little tear in their eye, just telling me like, this just reminds me of home or something. And that's the best bit.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. One thing that has emerged over the last 5 years or so is the prevalence of boutique hospitality groups bringing back some of the long-lost modes of hospitality with bespoke restaurants with a singular and focused offering. Pip Pratt is the executive chef of Liquid and Larder, which includes the Gidley, Bistecca and the Rover. Pip, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, really good. How are you?
Good. It's great to get you on the show. Your group has delivered some pretty amazing restaurants in the last few years or so. How are things?
Yeah, all right, really. Just trying to juggle life with 3 restaurants and then also 3 kids and making that kind of work just around that really. Sometimes it's mental and others it's just less than mental. So it's it can be tough, but it lets you kind of know who you are really.
Well, you do sound busier than the average person. 3 kids is a handful enough, let alone 3 very different restaurants that are. Tell us a little bit about the group and what you guys do, because your restaurants, hark back to, some of the lost art forms of hospitality, but they're really focused on a central idea, each one.
Yeah, so what have we got? We got so Bistecca we opened just about 6 years ago, like pretty much on the nose. And that came about because one of the bosses went to Italy, went on holiday just for a mission with his missus, and came back with this tale of these restaurants that just do one thing. They do it like amazingly well, and they're always really small, family-run kind of ideas. We thought, can we do this idea in Sydney? So we visited the idea a good few times going, how do we keep a nod to the tradition and then also the Brontosaurus monsters, and they serve them pretty rare, on with eating a bit more of it, so it's not it doesn't make you feel as sick with that much fat. So then we go, look, how do we take that kind of idea? No one's going to eat it rare to blue over in Sydney. Well, we get someone in. He comes in every now and again. He gets 1.5 kilos of blue, and he's a daring man, to be honest. But no one. So we went, how do we get that ready for Sydney? People are going to want to order it rare. They're going to want to order it well done. How do we make it work? How do we make it fast? Sydney lifestyle. Tinkered with a few nods to the tradition. Got some white beans on the menu, the Bistecca itself, and then we cut it in front of them. There's a great big fire. It's loud. It's tight tables. It's a bit noisy. And you can have a chat to the chefs. You can kind of see what's going on. You get shown the steak, and it's great. It's really good fun to work at as well as eat as a punter. And then we got the Gidley, which is a couple of years after that, because we realised there was a lot of people want to come in and spend a lot more money and be kind of lavished upon. They want to be made comfortable in a kind of rich and plush surrounding. So the Gidley kind of came along as almost Bistecca's rich uncle. So you go around to his house and I don't know if you've got a rich uncle, I don't, but my tools and bits of machinery and old motorbikes. But if someone's imaginary rich uncle, you go in the house, it's soft furniture. It makes you relax. You go in, you just want to sit and it sounds a bit cheesy to leave your worries at the door, but kind of relax into it and forget that you might have to go back to the office or call up and cancel a meeting, that kind of thing. And then the Rover itself was the Wild Rover, and we've had that in the company for 10 years. And the area, that Surrey Hills area, was one of the first bars in that area at the time. And since over that past 10 years, they've had Fido, Nomad, and a couple of other hosted little wine bars. And I think Bar H was across the road. Now it's Pellegrino 2000. And the whole area has been a bit more elevated. So the Wild Rover, as the area got elevated, the Wild Rover was a bit more wild, and it got wilder and wilder, and there was whiskey shots and all this kind of craziness. So they went, look, we want to let it match the area, match the clientele kicking around. So we've always sold oysters, we always sold bits of seafood and stuff, and that's always worked quite well, because especially with whiskey pairings and things like that. So they went, let's push the oyster, let's brighten it up, let's open up all the fronts so it's not a hidden kind of dirty, dingy bar anymore. It's a nice, bright place that makes you want to go and eat some nice food. Trying to keep in that neighbourhood kind of feel, because it's on the edge of Surrey Hills, so there's the amount of people who live there and the amount of people who want to eat nice things more often is we want to keep that feel in the venue as well. And it's nice, it's cute, I love it. It's a good fun little place to work. And the team's small and young, and it's great.
You've also got a new restaurant on the horizon, Alfie. Tell us about what that will be.
Alfie's is a place where we want to. It came about through. I'm sure you might have heard about the rising price in beef, which is kind of kicking us a bit. But it's nothing to do with the supplier or anything like that. It's just what's happening in the world through costs and all that kind of jazz. So to manage the price in beef and then the inconsistencies you get around the product, because we use the Riverine Premium, this product and brand that we use at Bistecca, we also use it at Gidley, and we want to use the sirloin part. So if Bistecca's the T-bone, the Gidley's the ribeye, we want to champion this sirloin idea at Alfie's and use kind of Alfie's is a centralising our butchery, so we can pick and choose how long we wet age things for, how long we dry it out for, and kind of keep consistency as good as possible and as consistent as possible across all the companies. And it should be fun. It's going to be a faster sirloin restaurant, kind of going away from all the woods and of a normal steakhouse to be a bit more city and urban, fast-paced place. So it's not going to look like a normal steakhouse.
What's it like for you trying to manage multiple venues like this? I mean, you mentioned the 3 kids as well, but what does it take for you to make sure all the restaurants are firing on all cylinders?
It's getting people we trust in headship positions, really. People who we trust, and we make a point of finding, if we find these talents who we get on well with initially. I mean, because we spend so much time with these people, we have to make sure that we all see eye to eye. And a lot of the people who we work with are our friends, so we all babysit each other's kids. Everyone kind of helps out. It's a great big family, which is, I know a lot of people talk about hospitality as a big family. It really, really is, and we really drive it as a company to get those people in positions and get it so it just builds a higher level of trust with each other. And because of that, we trust in people's decisions. We trust everyone understands, and we all communicate well together with the idea of what the restaurants are. And that's about it, really. Putting a lot of trust in people with a lot of talent.
Well, I want to explore your food a little bit more shortly, but take us back to when you were young. What sort of role did food play for you growing up?
Not a massive one. It was more just fuel and feeding young, energetic boys. And I've come from a family of 4 kids, so it was mostly just mum trying to feed us economically, and in a way that we still get some decent vitamins in us, and we're not just eating frozen pizzas all the time, really. There was no peeling potting peas on my grandma's knee while, looking over the cows running around in a field, that kind of thing. I grew up in a northern town, like 40 minutes from Manchester, an old industrial town. But on the outskirts of that, so we had a great childhood running around fields and forests and stuff, but no food, like glowing image of what my childhood was. But it kind of came about when I went to college. And I kind of went in thinking I was good at, because I grew up in a moderately rock and roll family where we all played instruments, and I wanted to be a drummer, thinking I was cool. And then we went to college, and that first the orientation day around college, went into the music department, and they were going, "Oh, what instruments do you play?" And I was like, "Oh, the drums." And they were going, "Oh, well, we're really sorry, we don't see drums as it's not a musical instrument, so we don't have a course because it's a percussion instrument." And I was going, "You are." So I instantly just kind of sacked that off in my mind, and then I was with my mum going, "Well, what am I going to do?" And we wandered past the catering department. She went, "Do you want to, let's go and have a look in here. I mean, you always the only thing you can remember from holidays and stuff is whatever ice cream you ate or whatever sandwich you had on some beach somewhere. Like, let's go and have a chat to them." I went in, and they were so much fun. They had so much zest for life and zest for what they were doing. The tutors, I'm still in touch with them. I consider them all friends, and they were great, and they really did really well in finding people who either hadn't done well. There was a lot of people on the course who hadn't done well in school. I did all right. I passed all of my exams, and I wasn't dumb by any stretch of the imagination, but I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And they kind of went, "Look, we do this course, and sometimes you do pastry, sometimes you do butchery, sometimes you're only in 3 days a week." And that immediately got me. I was like, 3 days a week, that sounds ace. So then I went, so 3 days a week, I'm in. And then after that, I realized there was more to it. There's so much more you could learn. I realized that it was because it was such a hands-on course. And I'm one of the great things that I've realized I'm quite good at is just using my hands and doing stuff with my hands. So I immediately took to butchery and pastry and everything like that around it, which was great. It was really good. And then, so it was really down to those tutors who really kind of went, "This is the course," and they really painted it in such a way. And the course itself was so practical. It was great.
Early on in your career, what were the sort of venues and people that you worked with that really helped shape sort of the path that you went on?
I got a job straight out of college, in a place in Southampton, with a guy called Damien Brown, who used to go to our college as well. So they kind of kept that contact with the catering course. And from there, he really kind of took me under his wing and showed me what actually a professional kitchen was about. And it was just a gastro pub in a medium small town. It wasn't any light years away ahead of anything, but it was just good, and it really gave me a good background on how to do things. And obviously there was lots of shouting, and it was a kitchen, and it was a good few years ago, so we did long hours, but it was really fun. And for the first 2 years I didn't even consider it really a job. It was just somewhere you turn up, you worked hard, you learnt loads. The chefs took you out, and you had a few beers after work. You all turned up hungover the next day, and it was this big family part of it. There was another couple of guys who used to go to the college as well, and it was really good fun. But they really taught us like a good backbone on what is right and what is wrong in cooking, which was great. And I've on and off I worked with him again a couple of times. One more time in London and one more time in Winchester. And we're still in contact to this day, and yeah, I love him loads for everything for everything he taught me, and how not to be an idiot, basically, which was a very, very good grounding.
What was your time like in the UK and the cooking that you did there before you came to Australia?
I did a stint at a place called Bentley for Richard Corrigan. Which is funny because the two Bentleys that I've worked at, the one in London and the one in Sydney, are the two hardest jobs I've ever done, which is a bit fun. And Richard Corrigan is this man mountain. I'm sure you've seen him. He seems about 7'5" tall. He's a big man with a big personality, and he was a bit big and scary for someone who coming from Southampton, thinking I've been there for a couple of years, 3 years or something, and I thought I was pretty good. You go to London and realize that you're really terrible, and to keep up with the competitive. It was really competitive then. It was just the turnover of staff was high, and you really had to want to be there, and you really had to want to work hard to learn and to get ahead. So that was good. It was tough at Corrigan's. It really was. And then I skipped around, came to Australia for a year, and then went back. And back in the UK, I did a boutique hotel in Devon, which was glorious. It was 12 rooms. The restaurant overlooked this valley. There's a river. There's fields of wildflower. It was like picture perfect, amazing. It was super good. So I did that for a year. And then I went to work at Club Gascon, a one-star place in London, for this seemingly crazy man, Pascal Ossignac. He's French. Everyone spoke French in the kitchen, so it was probably 30% English. It was tough to understand. It was really hard for the first 3 months because no one trusts you with anything. But I remember them saying, if you last 3 months, you hit the Hall of Fame. And I was like, the Hall of Fame after 3 months, like, what's that about? But it was true. On my third day, I was having to train someone because people just dropped out, and it was fast. The menu was big, but it was in. Pascal was all seeing and all knowing, but the team was small. There was only 7 of us, but it was great. I learned about the ins and outs of foie gras massively. I moved around all sections in the kitchen. It was great. He taught us how to cook with all your senses. It's not just about cooking to a temperature. It's not just about, is that frying? It's like you're touching, smelling, even before taste, you're using all of your senses to make sure something's right. So if it doesn't look right, it's definitely not going to taste right. So there was lots of that. So yeah, you burnt yourself, you cut yourself, but you really knew the product. You really kind of had it was great working for him. Yeah, and I think kind of sad to go, but we came back. I was with my missus now, and she's from Australia, so we were coming back, and it was time to leave, but it was good.
What was it like for you moving to Australia? Was it hard to get into the industry here?
No, initially, no. It's you come over with these ideas because everyone tells you in the UK, oh, you go to Australia, you get paid thousands and thousands of dollars, and you do. It's true, but it's all relative, obviously, to how much you have to pay for rent and things like that. But so you come with these starry eyes, going, it's going to be great. You're going to be on the beach every day. And you still actually see that quite a bit. You see a lot of Brits come across, or a lot from Ireland and Scotland, and they come across thinking they're not going to have an easy life. You still have to work hard. It's not a holiday. So I'm almost harder on the English people, because I'm like, you should know better. Like, you've come across to try and have an easier life, but you see, I know what kind of background they've got. If they worked in London, I'm like, you're going to be tough, so you should be right. But coming over it, I mean, there's always been jobs. There was a lot more. It was a little bit more competitive then than it is now. Though there's a big gap in chef de parties. Really, there's not many of them kicking around. So if you come over and you're a chef de party, you'll never be wanting for a job. You'll be snapped up straight away. But no, it wasn't. Yeah, the transition from England to here was easy. Well, I mean, everyone speaks English, so it's not that hard. And I've been over. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I quite enjoyed it. I know I must like it because I'm still here.
Well, what's some of the venues that you worked at in Australia before you made your way to the Liquid and Larder group?
I did Sean's Kitchen, which was in the casino when it was there. That was Sean Connolly's place, and that's where I met my missus. There was a good gang of us. There was a load of English, Irish, Brazilians, Australians, all working under one big roof, and it really brought the team together. I'm still in contact with all of them. We're all good mates. We all go and see each other every couple of months, and it's great. It was a really good team there. After that was when I went back to the UK, and then I came back and I wanted to work somewhere big and brutal and good. And obviously everyone had heard of Bentley because of his book that Brent had brought out a few years ago. And it was the book that all chefs had. Like, we all had it. We're all going, well, what is this like? It looks amazing. It's artistic. I'm sure you've got it. It's this big black book. It's beautiful. So I was going, I'm going to go work there. And I got a job. I started off at Yellow when it was still meaty. And And it was good, and it was hard, but it was good. And Brent has this way of getting so much trust in him. He's got a way of not getting you to do what he wants, essentially, because he's your boss, but like everyone has so much faith in Brent because he's that good. So yeah, I worked there with Adam Wolfie for a bit at Yellow, and then when the new Bentley opened at the Radisson, I was on the opening team there, and it was hard. It was really hard, like one of those 80, 90, 100 hour week back to back hard. So I did that for a bit, and then one day, what was I doing? I bumped into an old front of house of one of the waiters at a wine thing down at the Carriage Works, and he went. I'd lost loads of weight. I was like 63 kilos, and I'm 6'1", so I was a rake. And he was going, come and have a chat with these guys, and that was over in Balmain, a place called Wilhelmina's, where the boys had a small wine bar. So I went to have a chat, and they went, we need a hand helping run it. You can come in as Sue. So I went, all right. They went, these are the hours. You'll have a better life. And it was, and the transition from kind of fine dining to that wine bar kind of feel was a bit hard, because it's getting your head around the clientele, and it's super local and super neighbourly. And that's how that was me in the company, and that was 9 years ago, which is a bit of a stint. And then after that, we did Bistecca, and we realised that the amount of effort we were sticking into Bistecca, we're taking home, 5 times the amount of money. So we went, Wilhelmina's, when we called it a day on there. It's still there. It's Wilhelmina's is still there as a venue, but someone else is running it. So there you go.
Cooking over fire has become a feature of sort of what you do. What did you do in regards to sort of researching and learning the art of cooking over fire?
Well, at Wilhelmina's, we already had a charcoal and wood grill with a little cable maneuver, so we went up and down, and it was great. That was my first into a baptism of fire, if you put it, of cooking over it. So we did a wide range of just bits of everything. It was a lot of fails, but a lot of good things came out of that learning period. Just cooking little bits of fish, like any old cuttlefish, just chucking it over flames, doing it with different bastes, and just seeing what happened. And a lot of testing. I mean, we were probably part of the reason why we were slowly not making as much money, because we were just testing things out all the time and seeing what would work. But I mean, if we didn't have that, we wouldn't have kind of been as good, and we weren't as immediately all right at Bistecca. I mean, Bistecca, we started off and we kind of thought we knew what we were doing, and we've smoothened things out a bit now. We're definitely all right now. But have you been Bistecca?
Yeah, I've been to Bistecca. Yeah.
Did you enjoy it? Were you there early on, or did you come?
Very early on. I'm surprised that it was 6 years ago. It seems that's such a long time ago, and it's. I remember the phones being put in special lockers or boxes. Yeah,
there's been ace. I go to restaurants now, and I kind of wait for someone to take my phone off me, but no one does. It's really annoying. Because you kind of I always wish I wasn't around my phone half the time, because you've just got people calling you left, right, and center. When you go into a restaurant, you see some people, like 50% of people freak out, 50% just throw the phone in, just get it away from me. And it's great. At both the Gidley and Bistecca, we do it. Take the phones, and it gives the restaurant atmosphere immediately. And just people are in, they're going, oh, we're talking. You see tables who might normally just be on their phones, or might normally, taking a photo of something. That's gone. People just have to talk and have to discuss and have to eat together. And it really brings dining back to kind of how it should be.
Well, tell us a little bit more about that, because we're in an age where, people are taking photos of their dishes and putting them on social media, and, some of the art of hospitality is lost. Is there challenges in sort of taking people's phones away from them and wanting them to have a good night?
A little bit, yeah. Just people aren't away from their phones at all anymore. I mean, I think there's a new breed of people who want to try and switch off from them, which are the ones who want to get rid of the phones. But most people love the phones. They're on them probably more than they should be, if you know what I mean. Like there's a lot of people who just constantly on the phones, and I think as a whole, most people love it. They like interacting with people again, and not having that phone to kind of block conversation, or if you don't have to rely on the phone for a conversation, or however they're communicating. It's much better. Like life's a lot better when you have actual personal connections with people. So taking people's phones away it was a stroke of genius from the bosses. I loved it, and that actually came around because when they were on holiday, you're in these little Italian restaurants, and they had the phones out to take photos of things, and all the staff were kind of looking at them like put your phone, like that's kind of put your phone away, and they felt embarrassed being in Italy taking photos of things. So they kind of went, oh, it's actually a lot better. It's a lot better to not have it on. So that's kind of where that came from.
Tell us a little bit about your food. I know you're looking after multiple venues, but what's your approach to dish creation and your food?
Well, obviously there's a concept that we get given and going, this is, so the Bistecca had this Italian, has to have nods to the tradition concept. Same with the Gidley is this American steakhouse concept. So you go, and then the Rover is kind of like a British seafood bistro. So we're going, these are the ideas. So then how do we take how we cook to fit into what it is? So we always just kind of go, every dish should have three big flavors, three big textures, pretty much, and then we work around that. Obviously, there's the heroes, which is Bistecca, the T-bone. There's the fish, the whole fish. There's some flathead that we have at the Rover. The Gidleys, the spinalis or the ribeye or the roast that we have there, which are kind of those, I think there's a new trend calling it like naked main courses or something like that. So you've got the main event and then everything around it. So there's a lot of work on starters and sides and three flavors, three textures, because like, to be honest, your mouth doesn't want really much more than that because it just gets confusing. It has to be simple, but big solid flavors with it. Yeah, and that's kind of all there is to it. And then make sure, don't even know where I'm going with that. No, that's about it. Yeah, three big flavors, three big textures.
The last couple of years have been challenging for everyone. Has it changed the way you look at your career and what you do?
Oh, a little bit. I mean, those couple of lockdowns that we had, it was really nice to spend that time and see the kids that much. And you spend that much time you see them grow a bit more, and you spend all that time, like homeschooling was pretty horrible. I'm not going to say, like, we're trying to teach my boy who was 4 going on 5 how to read and write and do some maths, and his attention span's like mine. It's he wants to run around, not do maths. So it was kind of spending that amount of time with them was really nice to see them develop. But then, so that kind of, when everyone went back to work, you're going, how can I still have parts of that in my working life? And I think now I'm a little bit older, I've definitely slowed down, my knees hurt a little bit and that kind of thing. So I'm not like, we're not doing 50, 60, 70 hours anymore. We're not like, we don't want anyone to do that. And because as a company, we don't want that for ourselves and for our families. We also don't want it for our employees, and they're the rest of our family, really. So everyone, no one's doing millions of hours. Everyone gets looked after as well as we possibly can to keep the business going. And that's it. I think COVID times has made people just think about what they do with the rest of their time sensibly, I think. And there's been a lot of looking after your own health as well, which is nice. So we're all a bit fitter. We're a bit older, but we're a bit fitter, which is great.
Well, you guys are doing some amazing things and reintroducing the great art of hospitality into the Australian culinary landscape. What do you love about what you do?
For me, it's the customer interaction that we get, because the Rover's got an open kitchen upstairs. People come and talk to you. Bistecca, the Gidley's a little bit hidden away, but people come and seek us out, and they really want to come and thank you for a meal they've had. Or at Bistecca, we've had old Italian guys come over glazed with a little tear in their eye, just telling me like, This just reminds me of home or something. And that's the best bit. If for me, if I could lose my job tomorrow and I'll be happy because I've made that happen countless times to people, and that's the best bit.
Well, Pip, I look forward to seeing what emerges with Alfie's in the coming weeks. It's been an absolute honour to have you on Deep in the Weeds today, to hear just a part of your story. Please keep in touch and we'll catch up again soon.
No, it's been great. Thank you very much.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we take a deep dive into the lives of the incredible people who ply their trade in the food and hospitality sector. Special thanks to executive producer Rob Locke for making this all happen. Follow us on Instagram at Deep in the Weeds Podcast, or email us at podcast@deepintheweeds.com.au. Stay safe and be well.